One of the classic looks of the watch world is a blue dial, blue bezel diver watch with some gold on it as a nice accent. We're going to review 3 of them coming up. When I got my first job at a Rolex store back in 1987, the Bluesy wasn't really out yet. It came out in 1988, and it was such a big splash, which is a good word for a dive watch, but it was the 16613, and that's the classic reference of the steel and gold Rolex Submariner in a 40 millimeter that had the blue dial and blue bezel, and people were just crazy about it. We even had a waiting list way back in 1988 for that watch. But the watch has evolved over the years. It picked up a ceramic bezel and the maxi case and maxi dial when the reference switched to 116613. And then it picked up a little bit extra on the size when it went to the 41 millimeter for the 126613. But it really is the classic reference of this look. And they've changed the color of the blue a little bit over the years. They did add the bigger crown guards, the bigger crown, the maxi dial, the ceramic bezel, of course, little touches like the gold through the clasp. But the basic idea is still the same. It's a steel and gold dive watch with a blue dial and bezel. The steel and gold makes it certainly a little dressier than the all steel version. The center section of the bracelet is high polish instead of all brushed like an all steel Submariner. And so it's a little dressier. I see this a lot with guys who are wearing a Submariner with a suit, and it looks great on them. If you like that blue, like, for me, blue's my favorite color, so I like that it picks that up. But they have changed the tone of the blue a little bit over the years. You can see that on our website. If you look at those 3 different stock reference numbers, 16613, 116613 and 126613, you'll be able to see the slight variations, especially if you open them in more than one tab, and you can kind of flip back and forth. So this is the defining one. This is a 40 millimeter case. It has the machined clasp in modern times, super nice, very heavy duty, nice bracelet with the solid center links, and it's just a watch that you couldn't go wrong with. It gets you a little bit of dressy with the gold, but also casual with the blue. Since they came out with this watch, there have been lots of other choices on the market though. And I'll show you this one next. No, let's go with this one. This is the Cartier Calibre, and they came out initially with the watch. It was not a diver, and so then they had a variation that they call the Calibre Diver, came out a couple of years later. And it's a little bit bigger. You can see them side by side. The Rolex here is 40 millimeter and the Calibre is 42. The Cartier does have a ceramic bezel, and it comes on this really cool strap that is sort of textured like fabric, but it's rubber. And so it'll live through any kind of maritime adventures you might throw at it. It has some nice blue stitching that picks up the blue of the bezel. It is a ceramic bezel. One of the things I love about a lot of the Cartier watches, they've kind of improved on a lot of the watches out there because the crystals are recessed below the level of the bezel. So if you were to drop the watch, hopefully you won't, we always recommend don't ever take a watch off in a room with a tile floor. Don't take it off over a granite countertop. You'll get some damage if you do when you fumble it. But they have recessed the level of the crystal below the level of the bezel so that it's not the first thing that hits. The crystal on this one's also interesting because it's a little bit domed. It's not completely flat. The bezel is a true unidirectional rotating bezel, but it's just silky smooth the way it turns. It's very, very easy to operate. I like the big sub-seconds hand sub-dial there at 6 o'clock. The lume is super bright. There's a lot of great contrast on this watch. It makes it a lot easier to read than a lot of other watches out there. And for a lot of Cartier watches, they don't use white Roman numerals. They'll be matched to the color of the case or some other design element, but they made this watch really legible. So I think that's a great improvement as far as something being a dive watch, because you get that little bit of Cartier class with the Roman numerals, but you also get Phenomenal legibility. You have the big date window so that you can see a couple of days there in the aperture, something that Cartier is known for. The lugs and everything are really well designed on this watch. They slope downward so it fits better on the wrist than if they came straight out. They're a little bit stubby too, so this watch works even for a smaller wrist. Really nice. I mean, I really just can't say enough good things about this watch. Then we have, as far as the size comparison, let's try to kind of get all three of these side by side here for you so you can see the size differences. 40 millimeter, and then we go to 42, and then this Omega is 44.25 millimeters. So you can see it really has a progression of the sizes there. The Omega and the Cartier sort of dwarf the Rolex. So keep that in mind when you're ordering based on your wrist size and what size watch you like to wear. But the Omega really checks all the boxes for a lot of people as well, because it does have the ceramic bezel. It's the 18 karat rose gold. It has also a ceramic dial that is laser engraved with their signature wave pattern. You do have up here at 10 o'clock the helium escape valve. Don't worry about it. You'll never need it unless you're one of the roughly 150 people in the United States that do saturation diving. But it does have the exhibition case bag, which I love. We've talked before about this movement, that it is anti-magnetic. It's 2 barrels. It's the master chronometer that is huge power reserve, and the coaxial escapement. There's really not anything I could add to this watch to improve it at all. It also has the rubber strap, and even though it's 44 millimeter, it's a size that really works for just about every wrist except the smallest ones. I mean, unless you have an extraordinarily small wrist, even this 44 millimeter is going to look great on you. We're happy to offer a FaceTime call or a Zoom call, show it to you on the wrist, and let you see how it's going to look if you're concerned at all about the 44 millimeter diameter. But there's sort of a progression, and we're happy to compare any of these when you call in. Call us at the Atlanta showroom here. We're happy to go over all the details of the watch while we've got it in hand.